You know how we're always saying menopause hits everyone differently? Well, researchers just discovered that women with autism experience menopause symptoms in ways we never fully understood before. And honestly, it makes perfect sense once you hear what they found.
Hi there, I'm Tony Lee, and this is Hot Flasher, your daily menopause podcast that serves up fresh news, research, and wellness tips. I've built a daily news pipeline to find the latest on women's health and menopause research. Allow me to introduce my co-host, Nikki, who handles the headlines. Take it away, Nikki.
Thanks, Tony. We're wrapping up the week with some fascinating research that's got me thinking about how individual our menopause journeys really are. So, this new study from PubMed caught my attention because it's exploring territory we rarely talk about, how autism and previous mental health conditions specifically impact menopause symptoms. The research looked at women who had autism diagnoses or prior depression and anxiety, and what they found is pretty eye-opening. Women with autism experience menopause symptoms differently than neurotypical women, particularly around sensory sensitivities and emotional regulation. Think about it, if you're already dealing with sensory processing differences, then suddenly you're hit with hot flashes, night sweats, and all the physical chaos of menopause. That's going to feel completely different than it would for someone else. The researchers also found that women with prior depression or anxiety had more intense mood-related menopause symptoms. Again, this feels obvious once someone points it out, but it's not something most of us consider when we're trying to figure out why our menopause experience feels so different from our friends. What I find valuable about this research is that it validates what many women have probably been feeling but couldn't quite articulate. If you're neurodivergent or you've dealt with mental health challenges before, your menopause might not look like the typical experience everyone talks about. And that's important information for both women and their healthcare providers. Moving on to some practical weekend wellness stuff. Medical News Today just published a gynecologist's best advice for getting through perimenopause, and the diet recommendations are actually doable, not some impossible Pinterest fantasy. The gynecologist emphasizes anti-inflammatory foods, which we've talked about before, but she gets specific about timing. She suggests eating protein with every meal and snack to help stabilize blood sugar, which can reduce mood swings and energy crashes. Nothing groundbreaking there, but it's good to hear it from someone who sees perimenopausal women every day. What I liked about her approach is that she's realistic about alcohol. Instead of saying never drink again, she suggests limiting it to weekends and paying attention to how it affects your sleep and hot flashes. She also mentioned that alcohol can worsen anxiety during perimenopause, which is something I wish more doctors would explain up front. Her other big recommendation is increasing fibre gradually, not all at once, because apparently a lot of women go from 0 to hero with fibre and end up feeling worse. Start with adding 1 high fibre food per week. Your digestive system, which is already probably acting weird thanks to hormonal changes, will thank you for the gentle approach. She also talked about calcium and vitamin D, but with a twist. Instead of just saying take supplements, she emphasised food sources first, things like canned salmon with bones, leafy greens, and fortified plant milks. The reasoning is that food sources come with other beneficial nutrients that work together. Now, for something that might spice up your weekend planning, literally. Eating Well just reported on new research connecting a specific supplement to better sexual health after menopause. And it's not what you might expect. The study focused on fenugreek extract. Researchers found that women taking fenugreek supplements reported improved sexual desire, arousal, and satisfaction compared to those taking a placebo. The theory is that fenugreek may help balance hormones and increase blood flow. Before you rush out to buy fenugreek, the usual disclaimers apply. This was one study, and supplements aren't regulated the same way medications are. But what's interesting is that fenugreek has been used traditionally for various health purposes for centuries. So this isn't some random new thing someone invented. The women in the study took a specific dose, 500 ml twice daily for 8 weeks before seeing benefits. And they were all postmenopausal, so we don't know if the same effects would happen for women still in perimenopause. What I appreciate about this research is that it's looking at sexual health after menopause as something worth studying and improving. For too long, the message has been, well, that's just what happens. But sexual health is part of overall health. And if there are safe, natural options that might help, that's worth knowing about. If you're curious about fenugreek, it's definitely something to discuss with your healthcare provider, especially if you're taking other medications or have blood sugar issues, since fenugreek can affect glucose levels. All three of these stories remind me that there's no one-size-fits-all approach to menopause. Whether you're dealing with autism, figuring out the right diet approach, or looking for ways to improve intimacy, the key is finding what works for your specific situation. That autism research especially has me thinking about how many women might be struggling with menopause symptoms that feel wrong or different simply because their baseline is different. If that resonates with you, it might be worth bringing up with your doctor, not for a diagnosis, but just to have a conversation about how your individual brain and body might experience this transition. Thanks for spending the week with me, exploring all these different angles of menopause. If you're finding these conversations helpful, hit subscribe on whatever platform you're using so you don't miss any episodes. Have a great weekend, and I'll see you back here Monday.
That's our week. Thanks for listening to Hot Flasher. We'll be back on Monday. Have a great weekend, everyone.